The SpongeBob Big Guy Pants OK movie has finally been released, and believe it or not, it's been 10 years since the last SpongeBob movie was put in theaters. Sure, Sponge on the Run was put in some theaters, but it's not notable because no one saw it. The thing with Search for SquarePants is that most people are admitting that it's actually pretty entertaining for a movie that could really have been a really bad kids movie. Now, I have class. I don't only watch animated movies that are mostly all made for the target audience of, well, children. And I'm not acting like this movie is absolute cinema because everyone calls everything absolute cinema these days and it's lost its meaning, but it's an entertaining movie that actually does something with a character that I claimed in the past to have been ruined. And that character is SpongeBob SquarePants. Don't worry about watching that video to understand this one, but let's just say my anger towards SpongeBob actually comes from a deep love of the show and everything related to it, and that makes me angry when he just loses all of his original charm. Don't worry, I'm not one of those idiots who says Hillenburg didn't die for this, but instead I just don't respect the way SpongeBob has become more stupid. But the movie really fixes a lot of the things SpongeBob has lacked for a while and offers something reminiscent of an older version of him while also being somewhat unique. So let's talk about how the SpongeBob movie Search for SquarePants teaches us how to fix a legacy. Make sure to like, comment, hype, join my Discord server link in the description, and subscribe for more video essays, SpongeBob or not. Whether you like SpongeBob is subjective, and I don't want to come across like I'm too cool for SpongeBob like other YouTubers come off as, but it's safe to say that the cartoon I watched as a kid, made for kids, isn't really my cup of tea anymore now that I'm a grown man. I still went to see the movie and wow, I mean it's really just a longer CG episode of the show with Mr. Luke Skywalker himself in it. It's no masterpiece, and I'm not going to treat it as one, but there is some cool stuff that, from my knowledge, doesn't get addressed anymore in the show. Now, I've done my research, and I'm not going to act like I've watched every episode of SpongeBob ever made to make this video, but it is obvious how much this show has changed. Search for SquarePants is directed by one of the original writers of the golden age of SpongeBob, and just as a concept, that's very cool, and overall the film isn't taking itself very seriously, but it's still fun even though I have to sit through some eye-rolling jokes here and there. The one part of the movie I genuinely think is the best part of it is how SpongeBob is actually characterized here. Now, there are numerous occasions of SpongeBob wanting to be more than he's believed to be, and every single time the IP decides to do it, they really knock it out of the park. Although I will say the original movie and the musical do it better than this one. But just because it's not the best doesn't make it still pretty good. One of my main gripes with modern SpongeBob is that he doesn't get many moments where he's allowed to stand up for himself. And I'm not saying like full-on beating someone up, but more like how he's able to stand up to Mr. Krabs during the older seasons. Speaking of Mr. Krabs, he's basically the glue that is holding this entire movie up, and if he didn't play as big of a role as he does, this story would not work. It's very clear SpongeBob has a lot of respect for Mr. Krabs, not just in this movie, but everywhere throughout his history with him. Mr. Krabs' role is pretty much only there to move the plot forward and make an example out of later, but without him, SpongeBob would never grow as a character at all. After all, Mr. Krabs gave him his fry cook job, but in terms of this movie, he indirectly gives SpongeBob the motivation to go on his quest to become a big guy. What really drew me in is that although SpongeBob goes on a quest to prove himself isn't new at all, this one involves him getting manipulated into trying to prove Mr. Krabs is wrong, and he's one of the only people that can save him. It's different when SpongeBob picks up the quest himself, but the pressure he receives in the beginning creates this sense of hope in someone that he should not be trusting at all. It's this new area of SpongeBob's character where we combine his obvious stupidity with his unshakable pressure that forms into a good mix of both that to my knowledge hasn't been explored that well until now. Sure, Mr. Krabs is the glue, but SpongeBob is the main character and the main subject for this video, so let's move on to more of his character growth throughout the movie and how it utilizes some of his flaws to the story's advantage. Another gripe that I share with a lot of other people online is that SpongeBob has become too stupid to enjoy nowadays. Sure, it can be inventive at times, but it plays too hard into stupid humor to really be anything outside of, well, stupid. SpongeBob has always been a little unintelligent, but newer seasons have made him as stupid as Patrick was in seasons 1 through 3. Sure, the juveniles will like it, but what about the true key audience member of the movie? The adults. Well, the movie actually plays into how stupidity is seen by other characters, specifically the Flying Dutchman and Barb, who, not gonna lie, I thought was named Bob for around 15 minutes. There is nothing wrong with SpongeBob being really stupid in this movie because it pushes the movie along and overall makes the message more impactful. It drives this wedge between SpongeBob and Patrick Patrick that although done better in other episodes of the show, this still didn't fail with making SpongeBob actually succumb to more pressure and make him more realistic, which I talk about more really soon. If you haven't guessed, one of the reasons this movie works so well is because SpongeBob having immense pressure to be something he is not works really well each time they do it. The Flying Dutchman and Mr. Krabs are these driving forces for his character arc and constantly keep it in check by being this looming motivator that pressures him into trying to be the big guy. Sure, SpongeBob wants to be a big guy as seen from the beginning of the movie, but Mr. Krabs and the Flying Dutchman make him believe being a big guy is different than it actually is, and that is symbolized through the swashbuckling dream SpongeBob suddenly has once he interacts with Mr. Krabs for the first time. You see, this whole swashbuckler thing is a metaphor on growing up, something SpongeBob has covered in the past and has succeeded, but this time delivers that message in a new way so that it still feels different enough. Okay, so to wrap up SpongeBob's character arc, my favorite part of the movie is how he grows distant from Mr. Krabs by growing closer with his false reality of him. Mr. Krabs lied about his sailing days, and SpongeBob, even though he knows, still decides to try and be the big guy Mr. Krabs apparently wasn't, and him betraying everyone to help with the Flying Dutchman is the cherry on top. Now, although the green screen in the live action segment is really bad, it drives home that this is a glorified CG episode of the show, and that SpongeBob, although as innocent as he is, does have the ability to be more than just SpongeBob when they give talented writers a chance to influence his character through pressure to be something no one needs to be. Because at the end of the day, we learn that being the big guy is just being yourself, but not just yourself, but someone who people actually like to have around. And although a cliche seen in every single kid's movie these days, it works here because although obvious this is the message from the moment they introduce the big guy stuff, I think it comes across better because they give it time to breathe and allow SpongeBob to try and be a little different than how he's portrayed in the show, and overall, I think that makes this movie actually good. So, to tie everything back to the title of this video, SpongeBob is fixed because his character arc bounces off what others say about him, leading him down a path that he faces consequences for in the end. He learns before they make the message extremely obvious that he doesn't need to be a big guy, and that is something I respect because it at least has a moment to let the audience interpret its message before it's confirmed. And the ending scene with the roller coaster is once again this bow on top of this nice present where they actually give SpongeBob something to do and learn. That is sure the same thing he's learned multiple times, but at least here his character arc to get to that message emphasizes it once again. And yeah, it's a little lazy, they just keep having him have the same message over and over again, but hey, I think we should be glad that the SpongeBob writers still got it when they put their minds to it and decide to take risks that allow SpongeBob to make mistakes and receive consequences. Not frowning on being the little guy, but frowning on being someone you're not, even if you want to become the big guy, because chances are your interpretation of being a big guy may be something you already have. I don't love this movie, but I can appreciate what it attempts to do and does well. SpongeBob really isn't for me anymore, and to be honest, I purposely made this video into more of a review of the movie because if I take my prior love for SpongeBob out of my analysis, well then you get a soulless video that has no personality. I think it's really important to hear where I come from just so you know I hate modern SpongeBob because I love it and I want to see more of how this movie portrayed him as. If you hate the movie, I understand, and I think that's perfectly valid. If you love the movie, you're probably under the age limit to be watching YouTube in the first place, but I'm a grown man and I thought I was good, so don't suppress your feelings if you're in the same boat as me. With that said, thank you everybody for watching. I'm Enchanted. Bye.